gentlemen, welcome to episode 19 of Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak, and with me today is our regional diversity and inclusion representative, Lady Zannah Ragnar. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kodiak. I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you for coming back on, which coming back on means that we had to switch our beginning a little bit. Now, just to make sure that we're ready to do this today, let's get our bearings. Sorry, Sid. So, first, what is your favorite spell in Amtgard?
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, okay. It's probably stun. There's a real big feeling of helplessness that comes with being stunned.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful, very white lighty. It's a good spell.
Nice.
Plus,
nice.
My two main classes use it.
Fantastic. Good spell. I can agree. Good spell. Good spell. All right. Has your stances on bears changed or evolved? Followed up by Beatrice asking, which bear is the best bear?
My stance on bears is still pretty. I think it's stayed the same, and I would say that the best bear is probably a panda bear.
A little inside joke. All right, I'm with it. Fair enough. And lastly, what is your most memorable moment in Amtgard?
I have a lot of memorable moments. I think anytime there's a lot of times at GOTC or Maze that are really memorable, and a lot of those involve like just the feeling of the rush of like having completed a battle game and feeling like, wow, we did it, guys. We really defended the castle here.
Yeah,
that's my answer.
Yeah, those are two really good places to find some fond memories, as we've learned so far in our experiences on the Kingdom of Kodiak so far. All right, so let's move to the general question. Kron has a little bit of a spin on a previous question we've been using frequently. What is the quality of the toaster that the one guy, he's referring to Sir Glenolf, I suppose, being that Kron is notorious for not knowing who this toaster is supposed to belong to. And will Dom make the repairs on said toaster?
Dom will definitely make the repairs on said toaster. And if he gets a robotics person, we might be able to infuse the toaster with artificial intelligence. I promise we'll get to the diversity and inclusion questions soon, I guess.
We're actually right there, right now. So your experience coming back on the show has led me to, I wanted to categorize your questions as I normally would, where I would have three categories: the funny, and then the two questions directed at you as a person, individual, or representative in this case. I left the category to two, one of them being the funny questions, and the rest of them being our questions of diversity and inclusion. So to start off, Stillhat would like to know, what does your position mean to the game and to you personally?
Let me just start off by saying, I come back here and you give me two categories, Kodiak?
Sorry.
I will remember this. So, I want to start off by saying that now that we have a diversity and inclusion advocacy position and a person for every kingdom, that should tell you that Amtgard International and the Circle of Monarchs takes this very seriously. So this means that we are not going to be dealing with any sort of ism or any sort of phobia. And of course, like real phobias aside, but because that is it's a bit of a misnomer. No one is afraid of um, gay people. It seems like there's more hate than fear. So.
Okay. I would like to point out at this spot that as a regional representative, you're actually covering multiple kingdoms. You want to lay that out for the people watching at home?
Yeah. So having one person for every kingdom would be nice, but it would be a lot of work. And since we work so closely as a team, we've been having a lot of meetings and stuff like that. The diversity and inclusion team broke us up into regions. That's the main guy, Dallin Delgado. Um, and now we have 5 regions, I think, and those cover about 4 to 3 sometimes kingdoms, 3, 4, 5 kingdoms, including the new Viridian Outlands and
Nine Blades.
Nine Blades. Thank you, and congratulations to those guys. So yeah, I'm covering basically sort of like Southwest area, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. So that sweet sandwich of just sweet sandwich of the Southwest, I guess.
Okay, fantastic, and we thank you for that. Sir Elicard was interested in knowing, what do you recommend for a new player in the LGBTQIA or non-Caucasian appearances to be more comfortable coming out to Amtgard Parks? And then go ahead and answer that. We'll get to the second part of the question.
Okay, so we really want to stress that Amtgard is a welcoming environment for everybody, and bigotry and intolerance will not be tolerated. So having that be well known and will hopefully inspire people to come out, and also that they know that there's someone who's got their backs will hopefully make them unafraid to and won't make it so when they get harassed or mistreated that they just straight up quit, and we're hemorrhaging all of our players of color and all of our queer players.
And the second part of that question was, what can or should we as park members do to make them more comfortable and feel welcomed?
So part of this is going to be the ongoing projects of the diversity and inclusion team. We are going to be running campaigns and advocacy campaigns. And when we get that started, we will be talking to parks and letting them know, like, hey, this is something you can do to make things more inclusive. I would say right now that the most important part, and I'm going to repeat this a whole lot, is to listen. And when somebody says, like, hey, this is making me uncomfortable, we listen and we make a concerted effort to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah Lecard would also like to know, when unsure of the proper pronouns, what would you consider to be the best procedure for moving forward in communication with that individual?
Okay, so for any lay people in the audience, pronouns are stuff like he, she, or they, which is a singular pronoun that does not have any gender attached to it. It's just non-gendered and non-binary people use this pronoun. And it is also a great pronoun to use if you don't know the person's gender. So, like, let's say let's say someone sees me for the first time, they can say, who is that person? Can I go up and meet them? Or can you introduce me to them? Instead of saying, like, he or she, but by the way, it is she. And what's yours? What's yours, Kodiak?
I go by he, him.
Cool. That is one thing that if you want to do this and ask people for their pronouns on Kingdom of Kodiak, that's up to you, dog. But
that's probably a great question.
As your diversity and inclusion person, I think it's a good thing for us all to know.
I will mark that down. Thank you. Um, so let's say there's an instance where we incorrectly misgender an individual. What would you say is the best remedy for the offense?
So trans people are, this is not going to be their first time getting misgendered. Um, and it probably won't be the last, but hopefully it can be the last at an Amped Guard event. So what we do is just apologize as quickly as possible and move on. One of the things that we see people doing, and speaking from my experiences, I really don't like it when people just like harp on it and make it all about you. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry I called you the wrong gender, and then they keep on just like sort of digging themselves into a hole. So don't dig the hole. Just say sorry and say like, okay, I will definitely keep that in mind and go about your day. I've never really met a trans person who is um, who gets really angry when they get misgendered. We get angry inside, but we generally don't let that slide out. We generally keep that, and we know that we're going to get misgendered occasionally, but anything that you can do to help is really important. And one of those things is using non-binary pronouns when you don't know the person's gender and asking people for their pronouns and gender.
Very easy steps, it seems, would be to take. So Randall would like to know, what are some of our things our kingdom should be doing to advance the goals of Amtgard International as far as diversity and inclusion?
Well, for one, I would say that like we're going to, since I said we're going to be running these campaigns, like for I'm sure in February we're going to be doing a lot of stuff for people of color and Black Americans, and it's June, right? June is Pride Month. Yeah, June is Pride Month. So during June we're probably going to be doing a lot of that. I think this month is Autism Awareness Month. And so basically, keeping up with the stuff that we're putting out and trying to engage you with, being engaged, and also just putting the work in. Like, yeah.
Okay. Beatrix, a panda, would like to know, what is your take on the new Orders of the Warrior survey that the results of which were rolled out during the COM meeting last weekend?
Yeah. So there seems to be a big disconnect between men and non-men, and how easy men think it is for non-men to get or high level orders of the warrior. So again, this is a problem with listening again, and we can do better by saying like by actually listening to our non-men fighters. I'm sorry, can you give me the last bit of that question again?
It was given, the survey information was given out, the results were given out, and we were just looking for your input and what that information, the gathered data, tells you. And it seems like you answered that question. The next part of it would have been, do you feel that the Orders of the Warrior are the majority of the issue, the more pronounced part of the issue, or is this something across all awards that may be something we need to look at over time?
So I think there's going to be a lot of hidden biases that we assign because of the things we grew up being told and learning and stuff like that, even if those things aren't necessarily true. So while I don't necessarily believe that a woman would be underrepresented or under awarded in like crafting and sewing, I can definitely see where the problem arises when it comes to women and non-men's fighting. So Yes, but actually no.
Okay, that's fine. That I mean, the data's there for there being a problem with the Orders of the Warrior, and until we either see data that expresses the same problem or shows us that there's not, let's just deal with the data we have. I think is,
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's a
think
safe way to go about it.
we have a lot of female crown serpent and flame knights, um, and we might even have a non-binary one. I think we have a non-binary crown knight, um, but we don't have any female sword knights, and that's a little weird when you consider how it breaks down with all the other knighthoods.
It's true. Um, Beatrice also was interested in knowing, are there ways to de-genderize titles like lady and sir or queen?
Okay, so this is one of the questions I was really excited to get to. The short answer is that uh, you can work on degenderizing those titles yourself. I know Balder presents masculine, has a beard, and uses male pronouns, but when they were when he was serving as the monarch of Dragonspine, he would be addressed as the Queen of Dragonspine. Um, this is basically how I like to look at it is that you can pick the sort of hat you want to wear, and if the Sir hat fits you better, then the Sir hat fits you better, and you can rock it. If the Queen hat fits you better than the King hat, even if you choose it, um, you can do whatever you want. These titles don't necessarily we should work on detaching the gender from them, and recognizing that they can go towards all of our players regardless of their gender, and it's just which one do you want, which one is your presentation. And you can also feel free to use a non-gendered title like captain or something like that. So really pick what fits for you, and um, recognize that we can decouple the meanings from these things and have a lot more fun and creative expression with it.
Absolutely, yeah. Uh, own it. Pick what you are comfortable with and own it. I think is what I'm hearing over the entirety
Yeah,
of that.
plenty plenty of women have are sir instead of dame. That's fine.
Beatrice would also like to know, what are the processes and protections for those who face discrimination, harassment, or exclusion in Amtgard right now?
We are talking to them. Uh, one of those things is our monarchy teams. The other is the diversity and inclusion team, and the language that we have put into our bylaws and stuff like that and our rules of play, like the code of conduct and like the hate speech uh, ban, as you would call it. So I am part of that process for protecting people, and I would like to help our monarchy teams also be a part of that process and have open communication with them. Another part of the process is just when we see something crummy, um, we don't let it slide, and we say, "Hey, knock that off."
I think that ties into the next question, which again is another Beatrix question about creating safe space in Amtgard. How do we do that as a more visible approach?
Okay, so creating a safe space is not a bad thing. We use safe spaces all the time. And what this means is it's a place for people to go to not feel like to be able to get away from something. When you're trans and you've just come out of the closet, not everywhere is guaranteed to be a safe space for you. And Amtgard being a safe space means that we want everyone to feel welcome, everyone to feel comfortable in their own skin, comfortable with their identity, comfortable with themselves, and comfortable with each other. I don't know. I don't really know what to go say.
Beatrix had mentioned as part of the Bell community, there's a group called the Blue Lanterns. I'm sure she has mentioned it to you at some point.
Yes, she has.
I can see that being something that we may want to tap into.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about bringing this to you during this meeting right now, actually. Well, I think there was a question I was going to lead into it, but yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll hit the question and then we'll get to come back to it if we need to, or what have
If we don't, just remind me about the Blue Lantern thing.
Okay, we'll do. Kron would like to know, in your opinion, how good or bad was player inclusion for the LGBTQ and POC players pre-COVID, and how do you feel the game could move forward with the virtual format?
Okay, so first off, for queer players, it's definitely getting better. But there are still problems. There's still problem people, and there's still like mean jokes that don't necessarily need to be going around. For POC players, it's pretty rough. It was pretty rough. We had a whole thing up in Northreach, and as well as we don't see a whole lot of POC in our game. And one of the there's a revolving door where a player of color joins, and then they see all the stuff we're like not stamping out, and they're like, well, I don't feel safe here. I guess I'm going to not play Amtgard.
It leads into the question that Deverick wanted to preface with. He wants there to be this position, but he wants to know.
Thanks, Deverick.
Why do you feel this position is needed in Amtgard?
I do feel like this position is very needed because of how badly we've treated people in the past, and how we are just going to strangle ourselves as a game and as a community if we don't take strong steps to mitigate these threats to our players.
This is if there was something that we needed in this game, it's not going to be another night belt. It's not going to be another award to hand out. It's making sure that the people we have feel comfortable being in our community.
Yeah.
And again, you provide opportunity for learning and also guidance, which is great. This is a much more somber Kingdom of Kodiak than we would normally do, but this is a very important one for the people watching this and the people who will watch this to understand. I just wanted to get that out there as well. Sir Francis was interested in knowing, how does an ally safely let folks know that they're there for people who are underrepresented in any instance?
We all have a sort of responsibility to be an ally in our own ways. I'm not a person of color, so I have to be an ally to people of color. And what I would say is more true is that what I would say is that actions speak louder than words. And this goes back to listen to people and stand up if you see something happening. That is that's the work of allyship, and it's not always going to be easy, but we have to do it. We have to have each other's backs because I know there are players of color who have had my back, and I would want to do the same for them.
Absolutely. We all want to be treated equal. A little bit of a transition here in the questions, which I guess I could have made a third category out of.
Okay.
And this is talking specifically about historical symbology. We are currently dealing with a scenario where there are some adjacent symbols being used in groups that represent hate and etc. that are also historically something we would want to use for a reenactment or LARP like we have. So Kenjin is interested in knowing how does one deal with these adjacent symbols?
So this is a serious problem, and it is a problem that is going to be around as long as reenactment and roleplay exists, as long as history exists, and as long as fascism exists. Now, there are two schools of thought on this. One of them is a bit more personal to me, but the thing is, we absolutely cannot look like we are a group of neo-Nazis, a group of fascists, anything like that. So we have to take a strong stance against members who are like using hate symbols. Some people might do this on accident, and it's important that we, know when we're dealing with that versus when we're dealing with someone who is purposefully and malignantly trying to sabotage the game and infiltrate it with fascist ideology and stuff like that. What I personally believe is that fascism is a tumor, and it is not going to so I don't like ceding ground. I don't like ceding ground to fascists. One of the things that is really important is we cannot let them take more away from us. We have to take a stand. Otherwise, they will co-opt anything. They'll co-opt the Roman Empire. They'll co-opt Vikings. They'll co-opt Buddhist symbols. Very famous co-option there. They will co-opt and turn anything into a hate symbol if you let them. We have to make sure that we don't lose our symbols, and that we fight this whenever we see it popping up. I hesitate to. I cannot advocate for like people like using like a adjacent rune on their stuff, because that will make people a little suspicious of you, and it'll make people ask questions. Maybe there's a way you could, I don't know, like make your own symbol, or take the symbol of like a rune and like make it rainbow or something. But that's a big conversation, and there are many schools of thought on it. There's really two, but I prefer to not let fascism dig its claws into our symbols, because eventually they will take everything. That is how fascism works.
So Kenjin actually points out in his question the difference between the Norse Thor's hammer that you would see as a necklace versus the Marvel comic Thor's hammer, where it's a bulky headed, short staff weapon, being the difference, a visible difference, where you could see that. But yeah, if I think where
This
we're at,
hammer kills fascists.
right. Additionally, I think the rainbow on runes is a great idea.
That
Also,
one's something I'm spitballing. I
sure,
don't know about that,
but runic design without using the exact runes is a way to avoid that problem. Uh, again, we're a LARP and a reenactment. We don't have to be accurate. So avoid using the ones that cause an issue and find a way to,
yeah.
be different. That's, I don't know, different is hard to define, but it's there. Kenjin would also like to know what's your idealized, take on how D&I's events would work.
So, I'm assuming like this is like we someone sees something, and they would report it to their monarch. The monarch would be like, and then ideally, the monarch and I would just be like, oh yeah, we talked about this one. They're wearing a hate symbol, and then it's like then they get banned. Or let's say like somebody is just being kind of rude and bullying like a marginalized person, then we talk to them and we say like, hey, you have to change this, to do some research, and we want you to be included too. But we can't include you if you're going to drive people away and make people feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And it doesn't turn into a dumpster fire that goes all over the internet, even to the worst corners of it.
Right. Dallin is in the chat and wanted to
Hey,
point out
Dallin.
that if you make it your own, differentiating it from the co-opted symbol, it's a really good way to own the symbol. Make it your own. And thank you for coming in. We are, because of the context of the conversation, we are getting some first-time viewers, which is fantastic across the board.
Cool.
Sarai would like to know, do you think there should be a non-men path to Warlord and Sword Knight?
Yes, I do. And I think that we need to give women's and non-men's fighting the respect it deserves, and give these people a chance to shine and really take control and make themselves known, and make those advancements in fighting that we might not do by just throwing people to the wolves.
Yeah. I would also like to point out that not too spoilery of information, but there was some Kaporo stuff put together that Sir Xian, Sir Anatole, and Sir Sane worked on that is going to be coming into the view of the kingdom here shortly. I know that doesn't impact your entire region, but at least the Kingdom of Dragonspine, be aware that there will be some possible voting coming up for some pro non-men fighting tournaments.
I highly support that amendment, and I think it's really awesome and great allyship of Sir Xian, Sane, and Anatole to do that.
Absolutely. I don't want to go too long on this one specific instance, but when you have Sword Knights in the game who are saying there's an opportunity here to write a ship, obviously it should be taken care of.
Yeah.
That should be a no-brainer. But
that is another part of allyship, is that men are going to be more likely to listen, because they might have gotten the chance to meet Anatole or Xian or Sane. They might really respect them. They might really look up to them as fighters. And for them to come out and say like, hey, guys, we think that we have a problem with women's and non-men's fighting, and we want to do something about it. That is great allyship.
It's a good example of what we were talking about earlier. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to know, do you think such a path is truly comparable to the current path? Why or why not?
So there are probably one of the things I'm going to say is that there are probably warlords who, in the course of like the 4 tournaments that they won to be called a warlord, that they didn't fight any women. So I'm not going to say that they're not valid, but yes, I think that if they can succeed by only fighting men, then women or a non-male person should also be given the opportunity to succeed. I would say that as we continue and if we do this and we get some female sword knights, that the kind of person it takes to become a sword knight is someone who's never going to want to stop improving, someone who's not going to want to stop training, not going to want to stop competing. I know personally, for me as a woman, I wouldn't be satisfied unless I could go toe to toe with the guys. But I believe that that's just my personal love of it. That's my personal love of fighting, and that our policy should be focused on elevating people and recognizing them for their awesome fighting.
All right. Before we transition out of this great topic and get to the funny questions that we have every week, we should come back to this Blue Lantern topic and discuss it a little bit before we move to the funny questions. So would you like to give the viewers a little bit of insight?
I'd love to. So Beatrice, who's probably in this chat right now, hi B, has hit me up with some information and some questions about, as I don't know if anyone knows here, but B is a cross gamer and played a lot of Belgarth. And Belgarth, it seems, has a organization that would be comparable to a household in our game that is focused on being very visible allies. Their symbol is a blue lantern. They're called the Blue Lanterns, and they carry blue lights at events. So, like, basically keeping people safe, making sure no like craziness goes on, when everybody's out at an event, making sure that people are respected at those events, and basically being a very visible sort of boots on the ground, I guess you'd say, type of ally. So this is something that would be really interesting, and it would be another thing that we could do to let people know, to give people more points of contact to reach out to when they are feeling when they're having some trouble, and also to basically scare people off if they're like gonna try something.
Right. So that does bring up a really interesting point too. I don't want to make it seem like this is something that you need to go to school for, but what education should someone have in the process?
If we were to create this group for Dragonspine, I would probably be spearheading it, and I would probably want to audit people to make sure that they know what they're talking about and that they're willing to stand up. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I try to ask B if there's like courses that they take, but like I would say that perhaps there's a inclusivity course that we can find and get people to, or we can maybe create our own and get people sort of, yeah, able to be out there and again make people feel safe and make white supremacists and racists and homophobes feel a little uneasy.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there and have it on video so that people
Yeah,
watching, and it can be recorded so that it can be tapped into later for if the process begins that this group starts being made. There's some foundation already built. So
yeah.
um, that being said, Zana, that is all of our serious questions. Yeah, I know you thought you were going to go 2 hours, but so let's get to some funny ones. Bring the mood back down a little bit if we could.
Hey, if anyone wants to look this up, what's the Blue Lantern core? Because I know green is willpower and yellow is fear and red is rage. But like, what is the blue one? Is it like compassion or something? I feel like it might be compassion. So I just don't know.
Is
Maybe
it
they got
hope?
that in that way. Hope?
Is it
I think
hope?
it's hope. Can we get somebody in the chat to confirm this for us?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll tap back into that when it comes up. So, funny questions. Sir Francis needs to know: does Tajima deserve the Sonic?
Does anyone deserve Sonic?
Fair.
I would say that. Here's the thing I actually want to say. Does Tajima deserve confidence votes?
Yes.
We gotta ask the real questions here.
Yes, Tajima does.
I think so too. So I think if you would give Tajima a confidence vote, you would also want to give him Sonic.
In talking to Tajima about the specific topic, Tajima wants to point out that where we're asking, does he deserve it? Tajima wants everyone to know the question should be, does he want it? But that's
true.
Yeah. Kyla from Glasswatch Highlands would like to know how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Nice. So the answer is that it is about as many boards as the Mongols hoard if the Mongol hordes got bored.
Nice. I see Dallin posted in here. The Blue Lantern power ring was a model of the power ring that harnessed the blue light of hope.
Hope
From
nice.
the emotional spectrum. Like, I know some things about some stuff. Okay.
Thanks,
why
Dallin.
I'm here. It's why I'm here. Yay. Okay. Stillhat would like to know, who is the best She-Ra princess?
So I know she thinks it's wrong Hordak. I am entirely inclined to agree. But I'm a sucker for in this order, She-Ra and Natasha and Spinnerella. They kind of go together.
Okay. All right. She did want to point out that Jordan is the wrong answer. So you didn't say Jordan, so apparently you have the correct answer.
Okay, cool.
Your opinions on Freddie Mercury, if you please.
Freddie Mercury is really cool. Very much an icon, and yeah, I feel like eventually, straight men have to come to grips with the fact that Freddie Mercury was pretty queer. So if you want to claim Freddie Mercury, then you gotta be supportive.
There you go. Freddie Mercury, amazing range, amazing singer, amazing personality. Queen, not so much. Moving on. Morgan would like to know, if you could invite one famous person to a house party, who is it and why is it Tim Curry?
So obviously it's got to be Tim Curry, so we can do Clue. And coincidentally, that is the theme of Kodiak's Next Reign, is the Clue movie with Tim Curry. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would, if I wanted to have dinner with someone right now, I don't know, I'd be too shy for a lot of people, but how about Noelle Stevenson and Molly? So yeah.
You shy is something I wouldn't expect to hear, but happens, I guess. Uh, Morgan would also like to know what would be the coolest animal to size up to the size of a dinosaur?
So Morgan, you didn't say which dinosaur. I gotta know. I gotta know which dinosaur. Because like, are we talking like Velociraptor? Because that's basically human size. Or are we talking like T-Rex? Or are we talking the big one, the really big one?
Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus. Yeah.
For the instance of this question, let's say T-Rex.
Okay. So I would say that okay, I've been watching a lot of Kipo, so this may influence my thinking. But how about corgis? How about just big corgis?
Okay, fantastic. All right. Cleo would be interested in knowing what is your favorite bread product brand?
Cleo's trying to embarrass me. So I'm a big fan of Bimbo bread, as my Facebook might show off. Yeah, I guess there you go.
I had a moment today while prepping for Kingdom of Kodiak where I realized my happiness is directly proportionate to the number of carbs I've put in my body. The more carbs, the happier I am, and I think I'm okay with that at this point.
Sounds good.
Morgan asks, if you were arrested publicly with no explanation, what would you assume you had done?
This is a titchy topic because I live in Albuquerque, which is one of those sites that certain people who shall not be named have sent federal agents to. So it is a bit of a fear, and so yeah, it'd probably be. If I would probably assume it would be for protesting, actually. And sorry to take this funny question and make it serious, but yeah, that's probably it.
That's it. I have no problem with you answering it seriously. We have the world is still going on around us, despite the fact that we get together on Wednesdays and talk about Kingdom of Kodiak. So we can also bring the levity down again with the final question, which ties all of this all together. We're talking about inclusivity. Beatrix wants to know, wouldn't it be inclusive practice that if Sir Glenolf gets a toaster, everyone gets a toaster?
So, I'm going to, again, take this and not answer it in the funny way.
Okay.
But inclusivity is about not giving everyone a toaster. It's about making sure that people who have never gotten to use a toaster have lived their whole lives without a toaster. When they try and ask for a toaster, they get threatened or yelled at. It's making sure those people get a toaster.
I actually put this at the end because I figured this is how you would answer it. I did really want to emphasize the importance of the conversation we were having today. And even though it was a joke question, it did have a real life answer. And I knew, because I trusted you, that you were going to come through with it. And you did. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Zannah, that completes our questions for today. Is there anything you would like to say to the viewers before we move on to Kingdom News and whatnot?
So I kept forgetting to do this, but Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, and something about staying safe and looking out for each other, and making an alliance that is strong enough to withstand the crazy shit we are dealing with right now.
Absolutely crazy. Zannah, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, I do have the sad duty of reporting to you that you did not make it to 2 hours. Um,
I can
but
see it down there.
but the most informative Kingdom of Kodiak that we've had. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Transitioning to some announcements, if we could. Um, August 8th is going to be our mid-reign. Please check out the NPO survey that has been put out. I will keep putting that up each week. That conversation will be had after we conclude our mid-reign for us to start prepping for what should be the last couple of steps for us to be completely floated. So I encourage everyone to please go take a look at that. Additionally, I would like to let everyone know that the Monarchy team met today and went over all the amazing awards that we'll be giving out at mid-range. So please tune in, because who knows whose name's going to be called. Additionally, next week on Kingdom of Kodiak will be a nightly chat, and we will be having Sir Randall on to talk to us for our 20th episode. Thank you again, Zannah, for sitting with me and talking about this very important topic. Anyone who needs to reach out to Zannah and is unaware of how to do so, despite the fact that she is very active on the Kingdom page, please reach out to me and I can direct you. Many people in our Kingdom can direct you to her if need be. But until next week, I've been Kodiak, and this is the Kingdom of Kodiak. Goodbye.